Industrial action is when a trade union instructs its members to refuse to perform their contractual obligations for their employer. This happens when members have a dispute with their employer that hasn't been resolved through discussion and negotiation. It really is the end of the line. And it might be at the level of a single employer, for example, a local authority or a multi-academy trust. Or it might be a national issue like pay or working time. Then that dispute is with the government. Action might be to strike. If your union calls for strike action, you will be told when that is happening and for how long. Or your union might give instructions short of strike action, for example, working to rule. That's not doing anything that's above and beyond what is actually in your contract of employment. Industrial action, especially strike action, is always the last resort. And it isn't something that NSEAD will ever enter into lightly. It is legal for an individual employee to take industrial action if it has been called by their trade union. A trade union has significant legal obligations to follow in order for industrial action to be called. When a trade union calls for industrial action, members of the trade union are protected in law from retaliatory actions by their employer. But if that action hasn't been called by your union following the correct procedures, then it isn't legal and you would not be protected. All trade unions have to follow a strict process in order to call industrial action. Firstly, the NSEAD Council, who you elected, will consult with members so that they can understand the mood and feeling for action amongst NSEAD members. This is essential, as the NSEAD Council must listen to what members want to do before making any decisions. You can make your views known by attending online meetings or by emailing the General Secretary directly or just picking up the phone to the office. We want to hear your views. If NSEAD members do suggest that they're in favour of the union organising for industrial action, then NSEAD will carry out an online survey, or otherwise known as an indicative ballot, and this will gauge member strength of feeling. If it's clear from this that members want to vote for industrial action, then NSEAD will organise a formal postal ballot. And this is coordinated by an independent organisation called a scrutineer. And that will ask members to vote yes or no for industrial action. 50% of the trade union membership have to take part, and it needs at least 40% to vote yes for any action to be lawful. Then, and only then, would the process of industrial action begin. Please make sure that we've got your correct email address and phone number and your home address. You can check whether we have the correct information by visiting the NSEAD member portal via the NSEAD website. NSEAD members may not vote to take action, even if other trade unions have. If you are not directly instructed to take action by your trade union, then you must not join other colleagues in their action. You can show your support in many ways, but you must not refuse to work. If you do, you will be in breach of your contract. If NSEAD members do vote for action, that doesn't mean that you have to take part. We appreciate that it's not always possible for members to strike, and there may be other reasons why you don't feel able to take part in action short of strike. That said, once a union has voted and called for action, it will only be effective if we stand together and enough people take part. There are definitely alternatives to strike action. One alternative is known as action short of strike action, which in effect means only working to what your contract stipulates. This can be a meaningful option as no one loses pay, but it's also very disruptive. There are many creative avenues that we could explore, and we think that NSEAD members will have lots of suggestions about ways to make their voice heard. We will always look to avoid taking any industrial action, but sometimes it may be the only option left. You won't be paid for any days that you take strike action. You'll be withdrawing your labour, so your employer will be able to reduce your pay for each day of strike action taken. And additionally, your employer will also be able to make deductions with regards to their employer national insurance and employer teacher pension contributions. This is just one of the reasons why strike action is always a last resort and the decision's never taken lightly. Your employer cannot penalise you because you've taken part in industrial action that has been lawfully instructed by your trade union. So basically they can't sack you, but they can withhold pay for work not done or absence due to strike. When a trade union calls for industrial action, members of the trade union are protected in law from retaliatory actions by their employer. NSEAD is a member of the TUC, and as a trade union member, you are part of a movement of millions of workers throughout the UK. The NSEAD General Secretary meets regularly with other trade union leaders and will always discuss any possible action with other trade unions who represent teachers. NSEAD will always do all we can to support our sister trade unions and our colleagues, but we will always make the decisions that are right for you, our members, and act in your best interests. If you're a professional associate or collegiate member of NSEAD, then you're not directly affected by the trade union activities of NSEAD. And we do, of course, have members of our professional association who are also members of other trade unions. Their trade unions should be contacting them about their response. But if NSEAD professional associate members wish to become members of the trade union arm, they're more than welcome to.